So we're holding Slach Lanu. This is this passage, this tefillah. To understand, so we talked about Shuvah, and we were saying before, this is very important to understand, that davening, tefillah, prayer, is not a it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. So, which means that it's not just me speaking, even though the famous, infamous, I don't know, famous, but it's just, so the difference in Torah and Tefillah is that in Torah you're speaking, Hashem is talking to you, and in Tefillah you're talking to Hashem. You ever heard this statement? But the truth is, it's not that really you're talking to Hashem. Talking to or at could be a monologue. I'm just offering a monologue. I'm offering what I have to say. But a dialogue means a conversation. And a conversation that's why tefillah is called a sicha, right? Yitzchak l'suach b'asada, he went out to speak in the field. Sicha means a conversation, which the conversation means that it's a dialogue. And therefore, it's important to understand this. Therefore, when we talk about the different brachas in the Shemoneh Esrei, we're talking also, you'll see later when we get to Ritzeina and B'moedim, you'll see it's much more clear, but in general, we're talking about feeling, not just we're asking and requesting this should happen, and like we spoke at length on the Torah of Baal Shem, that we're creating the reality, but that through the experience of davening, through going through Shemoneh Esrei correctly, you should feel as if this request was answered. So when you say, let's say for example, that we should return with complete tshuva, we said last week or 2 weeks ago, we said the idea of tshuva shlema means the complete self standing in a posture in front of Hashem, means that I want to feel that sensation while I'm davening. Not talking about, I hope that one day I'm going to reach some type of level of return. That's not what you're davening. You're saying, right in this present moment, just like we say, when we say, Magen Avram, you're supposed to experience it. When you talk about Ata Gibul Elam Das, Ata Gibul Elam Hashem, that we spoke about the idea of Mechayim Mesim, the idea of resurrection, that you're supposed to feel the resurrection, the waking up of the body, the waking up of sickness, the waking up of depression, this idea that you're sensing it. So when you're talking about Hashivenu V'Nusar Yisachar, you're talking about Tshuva, you're supposed to, you're asking to be open to the experience of feeling in a posture that you are in a state of tshuva, in a state of return, in a state of closeness. And I want to feel that. I want to experience me being in a state of that I want to be lifanecha in a state of tshuva. You're following? So it's not just a request. I'm asking for something, and then it's like you come to a fairy, something, some type of genie, and you put in your request, and you say, okay, next tomorrow morning, I hope I get my request granted. That would be like sort of put in a coin into the vending machine and hoping things will come out. That's a monologue. This is my list, and this is what I want to say. But in a dialogue, I'm actually in a state of unity, and I'm in a state of dveikus and connection, where when I say when we're talking about forgiveness, I want to feel the sensation of what it means to be forgiven. You understand? I want to be forgiven, and I want to experience. I want to know what that sensation is, and I want to feel it. We have to understand what that means. But that's what we're asking for. You're following? It's not just I'm putting out a request. I say, this is what I want. I want to, please Hashem, forgive me. Okay, why should Hashem forgive? What's forgiveness? That's a conversation. But this is what I want. No, I want to feel the sensation of being forgiven. What is that sensation? Just like there's a sensation of tshuva, there's a sensation of being forgiven. Obviously, this could be thought about in many different levels. Forgiven to yourself.
You're not asking for that. You mean like put yourself
in that state. Correct. No, you're asking to Hashem to give you the strength to feel it. In other words, I want to be in this place. I'm going to do as much as my capacity to do, and we'll see soon. It's very important that we do the slicha within ourselves. We do the forgiveness within ourselves to allow for the forgiveness to happen. Right? You have to always have a kli for that what you're asking for. You can't say, Hashem, let's say let's say, for example, with Parnasa, let's say, right, for livelihood. I can say, Hashem, I want to really make a lot of money, or I want to be wealthy, or I want to have a lot of abundance. But I live in a very scarcity. I live with a lot of scarcity in my mind, in my mindset, and the way I act in my life. So where's the blessing going to go? Where's the bracha going to go? I want to give you $1 million, but you don't want to receive it. You want $10. You're looking to, we told you the story about the chayza with the fish. Remember the guy that with the fish? There was a piece of fish that by the chayza's table used to be the best piece of fish. All right, you cut the piece of fish to the top. I guess the head is maybe the best. I don't know, maybe the middle. I don't know. Whatever the piece is. There was one piece of fish that was the best piece of fish, and the chayza was sitting by his table, and he told her son, that you see that schlepper in the corner over there, that bottling over there in the corner, that poor man on the side, he's going to get the best piece of fish around the table. And the waiters bring out the fish and they start passing on the fish, and finally the fish gets to that guy, and that guy gets a piece of fish and he has a big smile. He's eating the best piece of fish. So the son asks the Rebbe, his father, why did that guy? How come that person got the best piece of fish? Because he's a bar mazel. He has a lot of mazel. He has a lot of good luck. He says, if he's such a bar mazel, why is he a schlepper? Why is he a poor man? He says because the whole week he thinks about how can he be to get the best piece of fish by the chayza's table. That's his asagas. That's what he wants. Okay, so that's what he uses mazel. You want the best piece of fish, you'll get the best piece of fish. In other words, if you want something, you have to open up the keli, open up the vessel to receive what you have to want. So there's always that connection. So there's a process over here. When we talk about slach lanu, so we'll understand what is this idea of slach lanu. What are we actually asking for? And to experience it in ourselves, and then to open ourselves up to experience this even more. So, what's the basic difference between tshuva and slicha? What's the difference between tshuva and slicha? So, tshuva is basically, like we spoke last time, that tshuva is a charata, like a regret of the past, a kabbalah, whatever, a regret of the past. But then the question is, you do something. Let's say you do something wrong, something evil, something, God forbid, like, an Avei, you do something that's wrong. So there's a few things that happen here. Number one, you're in a relationship. You're in a relationship with Hashem, and or let's say you're in a relationship with, I don't know, your spouse, and you do something harmful to them. So there's the harm that's done for the gavra, so to speak, the person himself, that the relationship is soured now. Even if you can ask, you could do tshuva and you can say, I regret it and it's terrible, I did this. Yeah, but there's something that was wrong between these two people in a relationship, and therefore there's a hurt that's sitting there. That's the gavra. There's a certain estrangement that happens now from the person in the relationship, right? That's one thing. Second thing is, certainly, if you do something physically wrong, let's say you did something that has a physical ramifications, that has physical, practical ramifications, something happened because of that. You put something into motion, something negative into motion, and that thing still exists. You created something. So when we talk about, let's say, a sin, right? We talk about an aver. There's two elements here. There's the gavra, the relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol, which is one type of relationship that we're talking about. That's that our relationship is estranged, so to speak. And there's also something that we put into motion. You created some type of negative thing in this world, right? And just by doing tshuva, saying I regret it, and I'll move forward. I got it. But what do you do with that past that you created? You created something in the past that is living on, and that needs to be dealt with. Okay, so that's like the damage that was done. There was a damage. There was a spiritual or energetic, mental, emotional, whatever. There was a damage that was done because of your action, and so the one element is the gav of the person, and then the damage that was done on the chef, so the object, and then there's a third element is that you squandered an opportunity. So just by not doing it, let's strip this in terms of this is a relation. Let's say between two friends even. You're going on a trip together, and you're supposed to, everyone's supposed to be doing their part, and you mess up and you just, you wake up late and you didn't bring the breakfast. Okay? A lot of things happen there. Number one, the relationship is now estranged because like we made up, we're going to do this together. You didn't do it. So how am I going to deal with you now moving forward? I understand you regret it and you're really going to do it. Never going to. Okay, I got it. But there's a problem here. That's on the relationship level. This number two, the problem is there's no breakfast, right? We have to deal with the fact that there is no breakfast now. So I regret you regret it and everything all, but what are we going to eat? There's a damage that was done. And see, there was an opportunity. The third thing, there was an opportunity for you to do something good, and you squandered it. You messed it up. Like you messed up an opportunity to do good. So by doing bad, you're doing two things. By doing something negative, you're doing two things. First of all, you're doing something negative. You're creating something that's negative. And also, the second element is that you messed something else. You missed a good opportunity. That's why when it talks about loss and love, it says that din v'cheshbon. There's a judgment and a cheshbon and accounting. So the din is on the negative things that you've done, and the cheshbon is the accountability for the possible good things that you could have done. Instead, you messed things up and you're doing something that was negative. So, right, because every time you're doing something negative, you're not doing something that's positive. Right?
Is that to say that by not doing an Avera, that's automatically a positive?
Yeah, sure. On one level. Not a positive, but at least it's not messing up. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the loy over. In other words, that's if you're tempted to do it. Like you can't say, I'm walking down the street, okay, I didn't kill it, didn't steal it, you didn't do it. If you had the opportunity to do it and you're tempted to do it, if you sit and you decide not to do it, that's an action really. Right? I'm choosing not to do it. You're not choosing not to lie now. You're not lying, you're not even talking. Right? In other words, there's
many people whatever they talk
that's true. I understand. Okay, but this is the concept. So, in other words, there's the problem. There's the messing up with the gavra and with the person himself. There's a relationship issue that's messed up. There's also messed up that there's a certain damage that was done and a certain squandering of a certain opportunity that could have been brought. And every moment is an opportunity. We have to realize that, right? Every moment we're alive is another opportunity to create something positive in this world. If we just waste a moment. Whatever we're doing, if we just waste a moment, we're wasting an opportunity that we were at 5:68 on the Tuesday afternoon at this time that will never return. Your soul, your person could have done something positive in this world, and it didn't. Fine. I understand. It's not, you didn't do something terrible. You didn't create a negative thing, but there's a squandering of the possibility of doing something positive. See, these are three elements. That's why tshuva and slicha are two separate things. You can talk about tshuva. We still don't know what the word slicha means. Okay, obviously it means translated as forgiveness, but what does it actually really mean? Tshuva means I regret it and I'm going to move forward and I promise I'm never going to do it again. And yodel talumas, I promise I really know this is the truth, this is a fact. The state that I'm now, I'll never go back to this pattern or behavior. I got it. But what do we do with these other issues? So now we have to deal with slicha. So once it's tshuva shlema, once it's already a posture of tshuva, now we can talk about the second thing, which is the idea of slicha.
Self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
For not knowing better.
Yeah.
Involved, right?
Yeah, sure. Correct. Yeah, so what does that mean? I want to talk about it.
Know how to do
the first part.
But now you have to forgive yourself that for 20 years you wasted.
You wasted opportunities.
You didn't know.
Or
Self-forgiveness.
There is a level of self-forgiveness. Yeah, you do have to self-forgive.
I don't know if that's where you say a missed opportunity. I didn't know better.
I got it, but now that I know better. I look back at my life and say, if I would have the whereabouts now, what I know now, if I knew when I was 25, my life would have been different. Now, I'm not saying to live with regret. That's not. That's we're not supposed to live with regrets. We're saying that. And we're not. I'm just saying, how do you repair that? If it's possible now, moving forward, to repair the 20 years that I wasted my time, how do you do that? Like, what's the process? What's the process to do that? To free ourselves from that missed opportunities or to create something different. Obviously, there's words I can tell you now. Obviously, if I'm the person today and it makes me because of the yesterday mistakes, obviously, right, these are all the things. But we're going to talk about that. What is the idea of slicha? Like, how do you get forgiveness? And what does forgiveness mean? That's what we want to talk about. So, first thing is, this is one Maramakim. The Maramakim is a little out of place because, but we're going to do the last page from the Talmud Devar. This is just from the Ramak and Moshe Kadavero. And here he just talks about the idea of tshuva in terms of repairing the gavra, the person. The Talmud Devar says that Hashem doesn't act with man the way people act with each other. Second to the last page. Normally, if a person angers another person and then they forgive the other person, and the love that they had between each other is very hard to repair. Once a certain boundary was crossed, it's humanly very hard to forgive that other person, to say, I'm going to be as if we were in square one. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's generally the situation. Like, things are going very well, someone messed up, even if they ask forgiveness, the person says, yeah, I forgive you and everything, there's something that was damaged in that relationship. It doesn't have to be, but usually it's that way. Avakadosh Baruch Hu, Malasi Yosek G'dayla Makadosh Baruch Hu, but over here it says by tshuva, when a person does tshuva, the advantage of the person is G'dayla Makadosh Baruch Hu, is even greater. That when a person does tshuva, it's even, the love becomes even stronger in the process of tshuva. Not only does it diminish the relationship, but it actually goes even stronger. And if you look in the next page, it's underlined, the first paragraph, last one. V'yachzar Kadosh Baruch Hu chizrasei alav, ein hashav ka'avar rishonim b'vad, ela yoyser v'yoyser. Yoyser v'yoyser, that the love that's returned is unusual, because this is divine love. That the love that's returned is not just the love that Hashem says, okay, I love you the way I loved you before, because, you made up and we forgive each other and we can move on forward and we can do things differently from now on. But I love you even more than I loved you before, which is sort of saying that the mistakes or the stumbling brought to even a higher place of love. Even better. It's even better we got together, right? It's Yosef Yoser. Chadashim means let's return to the previous state the way we were in the beginning. Here he's saying is like it's going to go back to a state that's even higher than the way it was in the beginning. It's going to be a lover that's greater, that's even stronger. It's not saying that it's not possible, Midas Basar Adam. Saying, well, that's generally the Midas Basar Adam, generally the way people work. But here, the Gavra that does tshuva, Emesh Hoy is that, like the Rambam writes. Yesterday, this person was separated from Hashem. Then the person is a Miskar of Hashem, and he becomes very close. And the love, again, the love of Kadosh Baruch Hu to us is infinite. That's not what we're saying. We're saying our sense of how we're being loved is really what's really matters. Of course, it's Mamayla Mata, but really it's a Mata Mamayla. Our sense of being loved is even stronger than the sense of being loved than before that we made the mistake. We sensed the love in a Yoser way. It's obviously it comes from above, but that's the way we experience it below. That's the Ma'ala of Tshuva, that the person that does something wrong and changes his ways will feel that love even stronger.
Is that partially because there was a gap, there's an absence of it, there's a lapse?
It could be. Usually, but a lapse just makes you say that it's a different type of love. We're talking about the same love, but stronger. There's a type of love that comes from an absence, right? A longing and an absence. And there's a type of love that's very like, the way you love your child when they're 2 years old, right? Could you love your child the way when they're 20 years old, the same way you love them when they're 2 years old? It's very different. There's a lot of other things that come into the world, that come into the conversation, that come into the equation when the child is 22. That because of the different things that happen throughout the life, it changes. But here we're saying that the love can be the same love that it was when they're 22 as when they're 2, and even stronger than when they're 2, if that's even possible.
Can Hashem have more or less love of us?
That's in the yeah. So this is a good question. Obviously, that's a hard thing to say, but the Talmud Devar is phrasing it that way. That's the way it's written that way. I would say that according to the Rambam, at least, this would be understood. It's the way we feel that love. We feel that love even stronger. Obviously, it comes from above. There's some type of, I don't know what love means, but there's some type of, well, we shouldn't say that. We do know what love is, but not, but this idea of the sensation of being experienced that way. Okay, let's hold on because we didn't even start yet. This is the idea of the feeling of love, that it goes even stronger. Okay, so the bracha starts with Slach lanu yikachatanu, Machal makeni kivashanu, ki kelta v'zalachata. Slach lanu yikachatanu, Machal makeni kivashanu. Slach lanu yikachatanu. Forgive us, our Father, because we have sinned. Chatanu is chatanu means like off the mark, really, like chet. Chet means something is off the mark, which we're asking our Father that we've unintentionally done something. Fashanu is a pshia. Pshia is something that it was an intentional act. pesha, not a pshia, a pesha. So what does it mean? Slach lanu v'kichatanu. Forgive us, our Father. Slach lanu avinu kichatanu. Linguistically, this is a very strange statement. Now, the word kichatanu, because we have. You have to forgive us because we have. You could say slach lanu avinu mishum shechatanu, because we have. Kichatanu sounds like the reason why you're slach lanu. Asher chatanu. Right, because we have sin. That I know in English it's very hard to differentiate these words, but slach l'avinu could mean slach l'avinu. So okay, granted, the word ki can also mean afal pi, even though that slach l'avinu, forgive us, even though we have sinned. Rabbeinu Chai writes that ki can be afal pi. What? Right, exactly. So it can be exactly. It can be eat. But if you say slach lanu kichaton, it means that because I have, you should forgive us because I have. Let's see. This is the next page, not the Pri Yitzchaim. We'll start with the next page, which is Derech Mitzvah. Derech Mitzvah from the Samach Tzedek. Mitzvah Videi Tshuva. So the Samach Tzedek writes like this. The second page. The second page, mamash. The bottom of the second page. The lechoyer ki ze'ena moving the masha ki lu nesin stam. It seems like that's the reason. Lama yisach loyoi. Why should we be forgiven? Because we have sins. That ploy. Which is because we have sin.
How else would this understand? You ask somebody forgiveness.
Yeah.
Why? I did something to you.
No, because that in English it works because you're saying because. No, it sounds like it sounds like that you need to give me forgiveness because I've sinned. Not because I've sinned, therefore I need forgiveness. No, you need to give me forgiveness. Yeah, forgive because I've sinned. Not because no. Of course, you can only forgive if you did a sin, right? But it sounds like I'm asking, slach lanu, you should forgive us. Why? Because I have sinned. Why? Don't sin, don't forgive. It's asher. In Hebrew, it could be, it's asher. Okay. It's really, it's connected to what it says before. Before it says, first you say tshuva, then you talk a slicha. When you the first thing is achzar saratzin is stalak adei avonos. No, sorry. Inyan mechila v'slicha achzar saratzin is stalak adei avonos. The mechila v'slicha is the return of the ratzin of the connection of the desire that was violated through the sin. Kina mitzvahs him ratzin elyon. Your mitzvahs are ratzin elyon. Mitzvahs are ratzin Hashem. Is the ratzon Hashem, is the will of Hashem. When a person sins, then so even though he's not doing anything now, but the ratzon is disappeared. In other words, I want you to do this for me. Let's say, for example, I tell you I need you to do this for me. You don't do it for me. My relationship to you, let's say my relationship to you is that you work for me. And I tell you, I need you to take out the garbage. That's your job. You don't take out the garbage, I don't have a relationship with you anymore. The only way I have a relationship with you is because you're my worker and you take out the garbage. You don't take out the garbage, we have nothing to do with each other, right? So if mitzvahs is the Ratzon Hashem, this is on one level of understanding. If the mitzvah is the Ratzon Hashem, the mitzvah is the mitzvah to the chibur. This is what connects us to Hashem. So Hashem says, I want you to do this for me. I want you to do this. This is my Ratzon. You do this. You don't do this. This is Selicha Ratzon. Even though you're not consciously, continually not doing it, but once you didn't do it, this is Selicha Ratzon. I can't have no connection with you. This is on one level. Okay. What is mechila? Hu achzar saratzon. It's a return of will, a return of the connection. It's not the same ratzon. It's not the same will that was first I wanted you to take out the garbage. Now you didn't take out the garbage. Okay, so I still want you to take out the garbage. Doesn't work that way. There must be a ratzon that's even higher than that ratzon. It says Lachlan Avinu Pirush Mechol Koloimer Galolor Tzoincha Mechadash. Reveal a new ratzon. Vayne beginners Raiva Diraiven. This
Is it the will for the relationship?
the will to will. The Makara ratzon. Let's say 1 second. Hanika ratzon Elyon. Kiyesh ratzon Achshel Matzah Zamar Mitzvahs. Ochechot Lam Makichatana Mistalg Ratzon Shayim Nimshach Idei Mitzvah. Achshel Sinat Shuvich Zem Shuvin Kein Zem Gal Zayne Shdasan Selicha. Okay, what he's saying is like this. There's a ratzon, and there's a ratzon to a ratzon. There's a will, and there's the will to will. I will something. This is my desire. This is what I desire. Then I desire to desire. In my desire to desire, which is the Makara ratzon, the source of the desire, I can have this ratzon, and I can have this ratzon. I had a ratzon that this should happen. Okay, it didn't happen. So now, in the Makara ratzon, in the source of ratzon, which is the Raiva Diraiven, I'm willing something else to happen. I wanted you to do this for me. It didn't work out. I can't repair that problem because that's in the past. But what I could do is I can draw out another will, which is Mekayah Ratzon, and say, and now I'm choosing from the Mekayah Ratzon, from the source of the will, which doesn't have a particular tzura, form of what I exactly will a new will, to have a connection with you.
So really, it's not that the relationship is that I need my worker to take out the garbage, and if he doesn't take it out, then there's no relationship. It's the opposite. If Hashem wants to have a relationship,
Exactly.
if we didn't do,
If you don't do that,
He's going to give us another opportunity to.
correct, something like that. In other words, exactly. That the what's the kavanah? The kavanah is, let's say it a little differently. The kavanah, the relationship is higher than ratzon, higher than will. The relationship is higher than will, higher than you do this for me or you do that for me. When you don't do this for me, you don't do that for me. I still want to be connected to you on a place of a revealed ratzon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal something within myself that has a stronger ratzon. Let's say you tell your child to do something, they don't do it. You still love the child because there's the Mekayah Ratzon. In the Mekayah Ratzon, let's give another phrasing this. In the Mekayah Ratzon, there's no tzura. There's no form. There's no particularity. If I have a Ratzon, a desire for a particular thing, even Ratzon itself is a makif, but let's say Ratzon for a particular thing. I want this, I have a desire, I have a will for this particular thing to work out. When this particular thing does not work out, right, what happens with the relationship? Is it only because this particular thing is going to work out, and that's why I have the relationship? Or there's a relationship that goes even deeper? And that's really the question.
There you say,
Supposed to have a will to have a relationship.
Correct. And you have the will to have the relationship. So therefore, exactly. So therefore, what you do is you draw out the will to have the relationship. When the will is violated on the level of what the will was originally for you to do this or to do that, you draw on the deeper will, which is the will that I want to be in a relationship, which is stronger than the will for you to do this or do that. What I really want, or the deeper level of the will, is the relationship. The relationship doesn't have a form, right? It doesn't have a particular story. There's no expectation in the will to have the relationship. In the will of how I'm going to function in the relationship, I need you to do this. I need you to make a living. I need you to work. Whatever I need to do, I got it. That's what you have to do. That's in order for the functioning of the relationship. But if the real relationship is based on the will to have a relationship, then it's not what you do. In other words, yes, if you do something wrong, and I can be hurt by it if you're in a relationship, but I can draw something deeper and say, but I will to have the relationship, and therefore I'm going to stay in this relationship, no matter the fact that you violated the will, right? You understand? So this is the Mekayah Ratzon. So what we're asking for Slach Lanu V'Yikach Otanu, we're saying for there should be to draw down a new will, a new Ratzon, a new connection, but the Ratzon should be from the Mekayah Ratzon, which is the Raiv, and therefore the relationship is, despite the fact that it was something was ruined, and this is. It's almost like it goes into a long beer, but I don't want to get into the whole thing. But this is the idea of drawing down what he'll call. What it's called is the idea of Seiv Kalam, like something that's transcendent. There's the Malak Kalam, which is the place of the relationship in the particularities of it, which means where Hashem's light is vested within creation, and there's a particular story. This is the way it has to be, and when there's a violation of that, there has to be revealing of the Mekar Ratzon, which is Soiveklam. Soiveklam is the place of the Bal HaRatzon, the source of the will, the willer of the will, the Riven, the source of the will. And when there's a revealing of the source of the will, the Riven, that is what Selicha is all about. That's what Selicha is all about. Selicha is to reveal that level. We'll see how that works in the Nefesh Adam, because it's important to understand this, how this works in terms of relationships, because it's not just I'm drawing out a deeper will. It's something about how do we untangle ourselves from stories? How do we untangle ourselves from particular desires for outcomes? Because I want this to be this way and that way to be this way. This is what Selicha is really. Selicha is a certain untangling from this story. Let's try to build on this to try to get to this Pirush. Let's go a few steps at a time. First of all, Kisveri. In Pri Etz Chaim, the Pri Etz Chaim writes like this. The first page. Exactly. That Slach Lanu Avinu Samach Lamed Aleph is sorry. The first letter. There's 20 or 21 words in this tefillah. Depends on which nusach you have. In the Ari, there's also two nuschos. There's nusach Yavetz, and there's other nuschos. It's 21. 20 is Esrim. Esrim is Keser. 21 is also Shem Eka, which is also Keser. So Shem Eka, Aleph Hey Yud Hey is Keser. Esrim is Gematria Keser. Ayin Shin Reish Yud Mem is Keser. 20 is Gematria Keser. So Keser, it's the fullness of. So wherever it talks about 20 is the idea of Keser. 10 is the 10 spheres. So Keser is the 20. So it's higher. It's the higher level. And Shem Eka, in the 10 names of Hashem, the name Aleph Yud and Hey is the name that's connected to Keser. Like Yud Kei Vav Kei is connected to Tiferes, and Lakim is connected to Bina. These are all the names are Keil is Chesed, Shem Tzavakis is Netzach, Shem Lakim is Choid. These are all the spheres are connected to a certain name. The name Aleph Hey and Yud and Hey Eka is connected to Keser or to Bina, but this is two days in Sharia. But one is Keser. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So Keser. Okay, why am I saying this? Because Keser is the Mekar Ratzon. The Riven, the highest level, the Riven is a Gila of Keser, is a revealing of Keser. Now, the first letter is Samach, the last letter is Ches. Samach Ches is 68. Yeah? What's 68? So Dari writes, in Chagam Matzes, Pri Etz Chaim, Dari writes it a few places in Shara Tefillin, also writes this, that Samach Ches, who soy moichen de Zoraben, v'soy Tefillin, Shem Eka Havaya Eka. It's the 3 lines to the bottom on the right column. That the Samach Ches is Kiminyan Chaim. That Samach Ches, like Lulav, Samach Ches is Chaim. Chaim is life. That 68 is represents the idea of life. Shechaya Melech, and in Fugimatya Samach Ches, and that is Shem Eka Havaya Eka. Shem Eka is 21, Havaya is 26, Eka is 21. The numeric value of that is 68. 68 is Samach Ches. What is it saying? And he's talking about a whole different idiom. I just want to bring this idea is that we're talking about life. Okay, that we're talking about to draw life, chayis, aliveness, and we're drawing that life particularly from Shem Eka. Shem Eka, that's going to come from, that's going to be Nimshach to Shem Havaya, but it's always going to remain Shem Eka. So Eka is between Shem Havaya and Shem, the Havaya is going to be, the Aviyah is going to be between Eka and Eka, which means we're drawing down a life, like a lulav, the same idea, like lulav is chayis. You're drawing down chayis, you're drawing down new life, but the life is an alive, an alive becoming. This is what Shem Eka is. This being and is becoming. Being is when I'm formed and I say this is what it is. What is Shem Eka? This is why it's Keser. That's why it's Reisha D'Lo Yisiada. Now what is Keser? When I say Chesed, I say Chesed is this. What is Hashem's Chesed? Hashem's Chesed, Hashem's kindness is this. What's Hashem's Gevurah? It's this. I can quantify. I can say this is what Chesed is. When you violate a particular mitzvah, let's say a particular avera, so you're over on a certain particular ratzon. The ratzon was for a certain Chesed to be revealed in the world, or a Gevurah to be revealed in the world. When you violate that, You have to go now through tshuva, through slicha, to get to the place of the Makar Chaim, the Raivin, the Raivin. The Raivin is not yet, doesn't have a tzura, doesn't have a form. If it doesn't have a form, it's Eke Asher Eke. What's Eke Asher Eke? The Shem Eke. Shem Eke in Kesser is a name that represents Bilti tzura, doesn't have a form. That's why it's Reshid Lo Yisyada, it's Radla. Reshid Lo Yisyada means, are you following what I'm saying? To make it very simple, what we're saying is that there's madrega of Kesser where I can't quantify it. It can't even quantify itself. When I say this is this, yeah, whenever I say this is this, that's already Hagbalah. It's a certain definition. The only thing I could say about Shem Eka is that it's Asher Eka. It's a becoming. I can't. What?
It's Selu.
It's undefined.
It's Selu.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Sela. Yeah, we're talking about soon. Next one. Yeah, it's one of the Shemas. So what does it mean? It's undefined. It's not only defined because we cannot not define it. That's one level, right? Kessler say we cannot define it. Exactly. It's a suffix diktusha, right? It's Reisha Delo Yisyada, the Radla, it's a face that doesn't know itself. Why? Because it's always in a state of becoming.
Is this connected to the Ratzon, the Kasser that's before Tzimtzum, which is before?
It's always yes, yeah. But we don't have to go to. Correct. They're correct. But yes, correct. Whatever it is, we don't know. We'll see what happens. This is the Madrega where it's the possibility of something. The Chaim of Slach Lanu. Just hold these pieces of information because we're going to try to figure out what Slicha is exactly. That the Chayis, the life force of Slicha comes from a Madrega of Kesser, which is Shem Eka, which is a state of becoming. There's no Tzur yet. There's no, this is it. Remember, because in a relationship, there's always, this is what I expect from you. You did something wrong. I'm offended by it because I think this is the way you should be. If you're driving down the street, someone, comes in front of you or cuts you off, I think everyone should be civilized and drive at a certain number, and the other guy thinks, no, you should, that 60 miles an hour is a suggestion. And he decides to go in front of you. Who's right? Obviously, the law says you're right, whatever. But that's the point is, stop being so rigid in your certain perspective of things, right? This is the certain expectation of things. This is the Ratzon. This is the way it should be. It's very rigid. I want this to happen. I need this exactly to happen. And Shem Eka gives a chayas, is a life that comes from a high madrega. Okay. The next source is the Toldos. So the Toldos writes. So you have Slach Lona Avinu is Samach Lamed Aleph. Samach Lamed Aleph is one of the Shemas, one of the 17 names of Hashem. In Vayisa, this week's Parsha Zal, Vayisa 8, that there's 3 psukim that have 72 letters. So you take the first letter of the first pasuk, the last letter of the second pasuk, the first letter of the third pasuk, that's the first name of Hashem. And you have 72 names of Hashem. The 45th name is Samach Lamed Aleph. It comes from Vayisa Yisrael Alayla, from those psukim. Vayisa, the Samach, from Vayisa, Yisrael, the Aleph from Yisrael, Halayla is the Lamed from Halayla. That's the 45th name. Okay, just remember, Samach Lamed Aleph. So there's a word from the word from the Toldos, that's from the Baal Shem, that he says like this. It's Chad Gadya, Echad Miyodea, but here, in Chad Gadya, Kimavur, this says like this. There's Eser in Yonim, Abba Gadya, Shur Nechutra Nudra Maya, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is the Chad Gadya, then Hashem comes and slaughters the Malach Malas. Koilim Kol Yon Elohim Hazam Ve'elam Abba. Beim Mitzad Eser Spheres HaKadoshis, Beim Mitzad Eser Kissen the Tatoin, Shem Seichutzim Eser Asara. Mashenk Mitzad Pinim Yisem Achtas. That means that when it says Asa Kadosh Baruch Hu, then the one came. The one is the higher. So the Yud Gimel, the 13th Chad Gadya is Yud Gimel, right? That's the Echad. That's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The 13th Chad Gadya is also Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is the one, and the one slaughters the Malach HaMavos. So what's the idea of the slaughtering of the Malach HaMavos? Is that the Chitzonis, in the external level, you see everything has its own definition, its own space, its own levush, its own garment. and they're separate from each other. What's the Malach HaMavos? The Malach HaMavos is the ultimate form of Klippa. The ultimate form of Klippa is the Samach Mem. So, Hu Malach HaMavos, Hu Yitzhar, the Malach HaMavos, the angel of death, which means the cause of death, comes from Samach Mem Aleph Lamed. The Samach Mem. Samach Mem Aleph Lamed is Sam Kel. That's what it really means. Sam Kel. Which means that every Malach, which means every revealing in this world, in the form of a Malach, which is a type of chesed, a type of revealing in this world, is a variation of Kel. So you have Gavri Kel. So that's Gvura. Refa Kel. That's Refuah. Even Michael, which is chesed, is Mika Kel, because Kel is chesed. So it's Kel, it's chesed, but you can't say Kel. So you say Michal. So Michal is chesed. You follow? Michal is chesed. So it's Mika Kel, who is like Kel. Kel is chesed. So Michal is Sar Shel Chesed. Gevura is Gvura Kel. Nuriel is Noiret Kel, is Tiferes Kel. Refoil is Refuah Kel. They're all Kel, a form of Kel, which is a form of revealing. What's Samach Mem Kel? Samach Mem Kel, which is Samach Mem Aleph Lamed. That's the name of this koyach, this power, which is the Malach HaMavos. Samach Mem are two oisius that are closed. They're stumas, right? That's Benes Hayom, Samach Mem Benes Hayom, because they're stumas. They're complete circular letters. They're which means a circular letter means it means that there's no hispashtus of chayis outside the letter. It means it's self-contained. It doesn't give out anything. Aleph is open, means it's patuach. It's giving out. They're giving out the oyer to beis, gimel to dalet, dalet to hey. Right? These are two oisis. Every letter is giving it to the other one. Incidentally, if you look at the oisis, always the first of the tziruf is the letter pushing out, and the second letter has its back to its side. Right? So they're all connected. So Aleph is to the beis, right? So, but the Aleph is giving to the Beis. The Beis has its backside because it's nominally ksuf. It doesn't look at the Aleph, so it turns around. But the Beis then gives, and the Gimel looks to the Dal's backside is to the Gimel.
The Gimel has both ways.
Right. No, the Gimel is it goes back. Okay. Right. And the Dal to the Hey. Yeah, you got it. So this is the Oisis. Each one is open to the other one, which means that it's giving to the other one. The only one that holds, retains the koyach is a Samach Mem. So Samach Mem, what does a Samach Mem mean? The Samach Mem, these Oisis are closed. Sam, I mean that's why it's poison. What's poison? It locks up. It locks up the energy, and it doesn't allow for flow. And it's holding it. It's retaining it. What's the ultimate form of Samach Mem? Misa, death. It's sasum. That's tuma. Samach Mem. It's closed. It's not allowing for tzoyar, for tuma, for toyar, for opening, for lichtigkeit. So Samach Mem means that it's shutting it down. That's a Samach Mem. Comes along the Baal Shem and says like this. Means that there won't be any levushim. So when there won't be any levushim on any garments, you'll see there's only echad. Now you see things of separation. You'll see the achtas. You'll see only one. So when the Asa Kadosh Baruch Hu l'malach hamavis, which is Samach Aleph Lamed, and the Nishchat, and it slaughters it, Yisharak Samach Aleph Lamed. So what remains? The Samach Aleph Lamed. What's the Samach Aleph Lamed? That's one of the names of the Shem. What's the name of the Shem? That's Yichud Havai Hashem Adnai. Because the Samach Aleph Lamed is 91, which is Yichud Havai Adnai. Hashem Yechaper and all the things that we don't understand. But the point is that when the Aleph is when the Aleph, when you take the Aleph, I'm sorry, and you shech the Mem, which is the Malach Hamav, the Mavis, you shech the Mem, which is the Mavis, you're left with Samach Aleph Lamed.
You still have the Samach.
This is the void. This is exactly what I want to say. So what's pshat? You say that the Samach Mem is Klippa. And Klippa because it's awesome. So what do you? So you shech them, and what do you have? You shech it. You don't have Aleph Lamed. So the word is like this. Here's the paradoxical nature of the shoyrish of Raven the Raven. It's the same Nekuda. What? Someone, let's say again, relationships between people, so we can understand. It's very very normal. I want you to do this for me. You don't do it for me, right? You violated. You separated from me. You created a separation. You created in my relationship with you, the Samach Mem, right? Means I have an open relationship with you. I'm the Mashmir. You're the Makabel. I'm the Makabel. You're the Mashmir, and the energy is moving correct. I need you to work for me. Let's say it's a job. I need you to work for me to make money so I can pay you. So it's circulating energy, right? If you just say, I'm not doing it, I quit, whatever it is, okay. You could do that. I have no relationship anymore with you. It's samach mem, it's tuma, it's closed. The relationship is closed. You're following this analogy? Now, I want to repair this relationship. I can't repair on the level of Ratzon. Because on the level of Ratzon, it's awesome. So the samach mem, this is why slach lanu, mechal lanu is samach mem. In fact, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu is samach, which is the samach of samach aleph lamed. Which means, what is a samach? The samach is the circle, which allows for it's on one hand it's the cause of the purpose, it's the cause of the separation, but it's also the root of the reconnection. Because I'm only working from the place of a particular gilui of ratzon, of a particular ratzon, then if you don't do the ratzon, I have no connection with you anymore. But I want to have the connection with you. I have to go to a place that's circular. I have to go to a place that's deriving. The same reason why, in other words, this is the tikkun. The ultimate tikkun of samach mem is not that there is no longer a samach mem. It's to say that the same place or the same nekuda that allowed for the possibility of me to separate from Hashem is the same reason why I can reconnect to Hashem.
Which is a place of limitless.
Exactly. The same oil that allowed for the exactly.
Like every midah has the good.
Correct. The same midah that allowed me to separate. In other words, if there's just a gilui haratzon, let's say theoretically the ratzon Hashem was this light that I'm receiving. How could I violate the ratzon? I'm a manifestation of this light. I can't do anything besides that light, right? If I'm the shine in a flashlight, wherever the flashlight goes, that's where I go. What do you mean? I don't know. There's something deeper that allows me to shut off the flashlight. It must be that I'm connected to the source of the flashlight. You're following? If I could separate from the light, and I'm part of the light, that means I come from a place that's higher than the light. That same midah that allowed me to shut the light allows me now to return the light. The same midah that allowed for the samach mem to happen, which means to choose to be disconnected, is the same revealing of the same oir that will allow for the revealing that it can be reconnected. It's the oir soiv. In the oir mamala, I have no relationship, I had a relationship, and I don't have a relationship now. I'm cut off. But what allowed me to cut off from the relationship? The only reason why I was allowed to cut off from the relationship, because I'm connected to derive. I'm connected to the source. Since I'm connected to the source, I can shut off the light. If I can shut off the light, I can turn on the light.
Are you going back?
Yeah, you understand? Yeah, the same word. The same word. You go, exactly. You're going to a place that's before the Ratzon. So this is the tikkun of the tikkun of samach mem is dafka not to metaken, and but it dafka becomes. That's why I think. Okay, this is Yashloim also. That's why Vayisi Yisod Balayla. That it's dafka Yisod Balayla. I think the psukim actually show what this samach lamed aleph means. It's dafka on the Siya Balayla. That it has to do dafka with a place of darkness, and in the place of darkness, there's a connection. That's dafka that allows for the reconnection. The same place that allows for the choshech allows for the possibility of the oil to be rekindled, because it's the makar akan. Huh? Correct. Okay, gewaldig. Okay. That's why it's Ata Seisa Li. Aleph, Samach, Lamed, Ata Seisa Li. What's Aleph say, Ata Seisa Li? It's the Makar. Seisa Li is the Makar of Kesser. That's the same idea. Ata Seisa Li, in the place of the hiddenness, which allows for the place of the darkness, which allows for the place of sin, is dafka the place where I can have tshuva to reconnect. Because that's the place of the thing.
That's why
That's why Slach La'Arvi Kichatonu. Okay, let's go weiter into the psak. So Slach La'Arvi Kichatonu. V'chol Rakei Kavashon. Slach La'Arvinu Kichatonu. This is the ikem. Slach La'Arvi Kichatonu. Forgive us Hashem Kichatonu. V'chol Rakei Kavashon. So we're saying by Avinu, by Slach La'Nu, we're saying Avinu. So the Ramak writes in Tefillah Moshe that Slach La'Arvi Kichatonu. No, in the pasuk, in the passage, not learning. Don't have the remark. Tzlach La'Arvi Kichatonu means that for Avinu, even the worst things that we do is only a chet. He's even a shoygig. This is a chassidish word from the Ramak. So Tzlach La'Arvi Kichatonu, whatever we do is only a chatanu. It's only a chatanu. For Avinu, for our father, it's only chatanu. Like a father says, you really intentionally wanted to hurt me? Of course not. So whatever you do, even though you're saying you intentionally want to hurt me, that's not really you want attention, but you don't intentionally want to hurt me. But for regard to the Eibushter, the Gabon Makenu, this kifashanu. That's a much more serious pasha. So, yeah, it's more amazing. Now the difference is that there's a difference between mechila, mochal, and salach. What's the chiluk between slicha and mechila? What's the chiluk between these two words, slicha and mechila? So, because slach lo avinu kichatonu, since avinu is connected to slach, and kata salchan li yisrael, umochan l'shifnei yeshur, and we say in Tefillah, right? Salchan li yisrael, in the Yom Noraim. Salchan li Yisrael, which means Slicha is connected to Yisrael, B'ni B'choy Yisrael, which is connected to a child. A child relationship to a father is connected to Slicha. A Mochel is Shifta Yishurun. Shifta Yishurun is already the lower Madrega. Yachah Shifta Yisrael is already the lower Madrega. Rosh Yom, Rachah Shifta Yisrael. Shifta Yishurun is the lower Madrega. And the lower Madrega is Mechila. So Mechila is a lower Madrega than Slicha. What's the difference in Slicha and Mechila? In very simple language, and we'll talk about this in a second a little further. In very simple language, mechila means forget about it. Like a person's moichel l'choiv. You're moichel l'choiv. I owe you money. I forget it. Let's call it water under the bridge. I'll moichel you. I didn't really transform anything. I just said, let it go. That's mechila. Slicha is something different. Slicha is not just I forget, but I forgive. It's a very big difference. Forgetting about it is like, okay, I'm not going to take it personal, whatever, I'll let go. But slicha means a type of forgiveness, new type of relationship. So just to understand one thing, that when we say, this is from the Alter Rebbe, so slach Avinu, again, the time of the Vayar, let's read very quickly. That first of all, we say, slach Avinu kichatanu, remember, who are we asking from slicha? Avinu kichatanu. Because Eina Mechila de Shliach Ela Yade Mamish Al Kadosh Baruch Hu. Slicha cannot happen. The time of the word, next page after the Toldos. I got it. It's not Nechila. It's not here. Is not making Nechila. That because he's talking about overall passion. He's talking about Nechila. Is Ela de Mamish Al Kadosh Baruch Hu. That is only through Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem himself is Moichel. He actually says Kimayim Slicha. Shuroichetz. It says Slicha, the same word. Shuroichetz avoidance that the Eibush Kaviyachol is Roichetz Hashem Tzoyas B'nai Siyan. That Hashem Kaviyachol is washes the Tzoya of B'nai Siyan. This is very big words. But in other words, it has to be that way. It has to be that way. Because when we're talking about a relationship, that it has to be something that's deeper. It has to be Avinu. We have to get to a certain type of connection here that is transcendent of a melech, of a king with orders and structures, and this is what I want you to do. There has to be some type of level of love that goes deeper. There has to be the Slach Lo Avinu is the Avinu Kichatanu. That it's stronger, yeah, it's stronger than the relationship itself, the of how the relationship should work. There has to be the Avinu, and if this is from the Alter Rebbe and the Geras HaTshuva is very quickly. I mean, it's a long shtick. You can read it very yourself. It says, "Mash'anu mavachim chol yom tzilas tekish v'bakar shlach lanu b'achad Hashem v'chan amar l'soyach v'arei safek brachas l'hakol shum shabek v'ein ala kan shum safek klal." There's no safek klal. You see from the Alter Rebbe when he says shlach lanu v'chatanu, you're not saying Hashem, you should forgive us. Technically, this will be a nice idea. It must be because safek brachas l'hakol. You're not to say it. Shlach lanu v'chatanu, Hashem is actually moichel. Ma'achsher bekanu shlach lanu v'inu b'chalanu. Then when Slach Lanu Avinu, when we say Slach Lanu Kichatanu and Baruch Atem Chana Amar B'Sleich, Hashem is Salech, which means if you take a daven correctly, when you say Slach Lanu Avinu and you actually say Chana Amar B'Sleich, you should feel it. There should be a release. There should be something that you're experiencing because the Eibush is mamish now. When you say Chana Amar B'Sleich, Hashem is Amar B'Sleich, and why is Amar B'Sleich? So Alter Rebbe saying because it's different by a person, every year, every day, every moment you do this, you do that, you fire cat every time, Hashem still forgives you. Marvelous leach, yeah.
I once heard that if someone carries on Shanessa after Marvelous leach, it doesn't feel completely, that it's like a complete page, it's now it's like a apikoidus, because
it's true. Then he didn't. Then he was exactly. So what do you have to feel? So what are you going to feel? What are you going to feel? So I just want to say a very quick verse from the Noida B'Yehuda. It's the Noida B'Yehuda has a whole arichus here. It's the Tshuva Noida B'Yehuda, but he talks about if what's bigger, Slicha Mechila, if one is for Pesha or Chet. But he brings down over here L'shoinis that Lo matzasi l'shum shoyrish, that lo shoyrish choyev, lo shoyrish cholav, gam lo shoyrish achel. He says that all these lashonis by Yisem Mechila is connected to sand or to lo yachal dvorei, that it's not, that it's weak. It doesn't lo matzasi lo shoyrish achel lum lashem tzapa. Anyways, you read it yourself. Anyways, he has a whole arichas about what the lashonis of Mechila could be, cannot be, and he has he dings a little with the Shalaka, there's Ramah. What's higher, what's Mechila Selicha, but let's go to what I want to say with this. This is the cross. That Mechal Slach Lanu, Slach. The shoy. What is the shoyish of the word Slach? The shoyish of the word Slach. Let me just tell you experientially. So it says in Chassidish Svarim. There's that Motzei Yom Kippur. This says the Ramah brings down, it's a medrash. The Motzei Yom Kippur, there's a baskel that says Leich v'achol b'simcha lachmecha ki kvar ratzu avenesecha. That you should go eat comfortably, go enjoy your food because your averis are already forgiven. It says in Svarim that, how do you know? So it says that the sensation that you experience on Motzei Yom Kippur, where you feel lighter, even lightheaded. Now you could say you can attribute it because you're fasting. It's also probably true. It's probably connected. But the fact that you feel unburdened and you feel lighter, this is because you are forgiven. Because kvedus, that the kvedus, kavod oven, that a person feels heavy, sunken, dark, depressed, whatever a person feels, like really harsh and sunken in. The experience of slicha, the experience of what a person has to experience, of what slicha is, lach comes from the word, literally lach, slach, machal, soft, weak, wet, malleable, fluid. This is what slach is. When we said before that the whole idea is that there's a ratzon and then there's the shoyesh, there's the raven. A ratzon, if I have a relationship with you, and a particular way of ratzon is I have a certain expectation, a certain kvedus, which generally in a relationship you should have covered. So kvedus calls them covered. Like I weigh seriously your thoughts, what you feel, and how you think. But you shouldn't take yourself with that same kvedus, because then when someone violates that, then you feel all bent out of shape. And what you're supposed to do is you should be rach. This is maybe kapara. Kapara also comes to rach. You should be rach kakana. A person should be soft, fluid-like. That when Chazal say kol amarva al midosav is mavirma kol pshav, that a person that's mavar midosav, a person that's able to like let go, to be soft, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mavar pshav. Then Hashem takes away his sins. What he's saying is, how stuck are you in general in your own life into certain things of certain. This is the way my ratzon. I need my ratzon to be fulfilled. I need my desires to be fulfilled. And if you're mavar midosav, and a person that's mavar midosav, is a person that feels rach, that feels lach, that feels rach kakana. This is the mid of the person that's feeling it. When it says slach lo navika chatonu, what we're saying is slach lo navika chatonu means Hashem, I want to feel, I am doing my part to feel unburdened. To feel this is what I'm not forgetting about it. I'm just allowing to take shapes in different ways. I don't have a certain surah that because of this is the result of how I should look. This is what happened to me, or this is what you did to me. This is the normal response that normal people have when someone does this to me, and therefore I'm stuck in this narrative and I'm very upset at you. But I'm fluid. I'm light. I'm lo yachal dvarei. I'm making yachal dvarei. I'm making myself choil. I'm making myself like sand. I'm making myself weak or penetratable. I'm allowing to be in this sensation. And slach lo navika chatonu means I want to have the same relationship with you. I want to feel that same relationship. And the way to feel that relationship is by a person that's batal ritzoincha. When a person is a batal ritzoincha, then Kaviyachol, you're revealing the Rive of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the Rive of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The Rive of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the desire to desire, is that place of Rach, where things are much more fluid and undefined. I'm not stuck in this is the way it should be. And when I'm not stuck, and this is the way it should be, the way I'm experiencing it, I wanted to also to experience it now when I daven. So if Shivei Avinu Selicha means I want to be in a posture of tshuva, I also want to feel unburdened. I want to feel light. I want to feel expansive. I want to feel relief. I want to feel open. And when a person feels this way, this is what and this is what the Alter Rebbe says when you say Chanun Amar B'Sloach. And Chanun, this is why Chazal said, the Chanun is Losh Techin, is a Matnas Chinum. It's a gift, it's a free gift. What's that? It's a free gift. It's because it's from the Makar Ratzin. When it's Ratzin, it's not a free gift. You work for me, and I need you to do my Ratzin. You don't do my Ratzin, you're not getting what you need. But if I have a relationship with you that goes beyond that, that's a Matnas Chinum. Matnas Chinum is, I don't care what you do it. I'm going to give it to you anyways, right? That's what Matnas Chinum means. So Chanun Amar B'Sloach means I want to go to a place where the relationship, with to the place of Avinu, where it's not, I did this, I did that, yes, I got it. I did tshuva, I regret it, I'm going to move forward. But I want to recreate that place, that experience again, only by Slach Lanu Avinu, only if it's my father. If I can talk to my father that way, and that's why there's a certain level of closeness, because this is the first tefillah that we actually say why you should do it. We tell the Eibusha Kaviyachol, Ki kel tevus halachata. Whose business is? Why are you telling? You say Slach Lanu Nikratonu, fine. Forgive us, but you das. Hashem give us wisdom. You don't say because Ki kel tevus halachata. I'm saying I want you to do this because that's who you are. Because you're a kel tov salachata, you're actually a forgiver. Which means, what do you mean you're a forgiver? You're a kel tov. You're the source. You're the makar tov. You're the source of all goodness. You're the source of every single siruf, every type of combination, every type of connection. You're the source. I'm in a relationship with you, and if I'm in a relationship with you, I know I messed up, and I did it. I did the tshuva. I'm not saying I'm not doing tshuva, but now I want to feel unburdened. I want to feel that that we can move forward in a way because things slide and things are malleable and things are fluid and things can be recreated. And that's how we forgive other people, and that's how we forgive ourselves. The way we forgive other people is by taking things and not being hard on it, saying you insulted me. You said stop giving so much weight to this thing. You got this little weight. It's okay, whatever. You said it. And then I can mishtana the tzura. You understand? If I'm lach, and I'm in a state of slicha, I'm in a posture of forgiveness, what that means is that I can constantly always reconfigure anything that's being projected on me in my own way. I can choose how it's going to be directed. Let's say a person insults you, yeah? Or says something negative to you. True, in the world of the tzura, in the form, this is an insult that was directed towards you. But in the world of malleability and rach kakana, yeah, but it can also be changed, right? Nothing's stuck. So it's directed towards me, but I can direct it in a different way, and also about myself. I did this in the past, and it's like a very hard thing that I did, and it's a very terrible thing that I did, and I feel really terrible about it. Both the gav and the cheft, there's a lot of damage that was done, but I can look at this thing that happened in the past, and I can recontextualize in a different way because it's not shaped. You're following? It's not an absolute shape because it's the Makar Ratzin. When it's the Ratzin and it has a particular tzura, then that's what it is. This is what happened. Okay, and that's my experience of what happened when I experienced it, a day ago. But today, I can look back at it and re-experience it in a different way because I'm not stuck to the experience of how it happened. I'm only fluid in the moment, in the present moment, to allow the experience, to reshape the experience of everything that happened in the way that I want to experience it. So you insulted me, that's what you said, but I heard it as actually as a compliment. Now, but you're trying to insult me, so what? That's your problem, not mine. I choose to reconfigure it. The same goes with anything that happens in our life. You did something wrong, it's not wrong, there's something negative that was created from it, but then you look back and you say, like you said, today, the person that I am today, what shaped me to become the person that I am today, that desires, now, that wants to do tshuva, is precisely those things. So it's Dainis Nasli Kazachias. The things that were the mistakes that I thought were actually terrible were actually the things that brought me to the place that I'm in such a better place today. Because I can reconfigure, I can recontextualize, because I'm not stuck. Because I'm not in the place of the stuck. Because I am Marvel Medoisov, not only towards other people, but within myself. I'm Marvel Medoisov. I'm Marvel my own midas that are holding on to certain stories and certain things. And I can become lach, therefore I can reconfigure it, and that's what Slach Lanu Nikratonu. Slach Lanu Nikratonu, this is why it's samach. It's going back to the samach, to the Oyer Makif, to the Soiv Kalam, to the Raven, to the transformation of the Samach Mem to Samach Lam and Aleph, and to the Shem Eka to the 20 word words. This is the whole word. This is the Samach. This is what the Arizal said. The Shem Eka, Shem Havaya Eka. The Samach and the Ches. It's the Nu Chaim. It's a Chayis Chadasha. Why it's a Chayis Chadasha? I did this. Now I have new life, and I have new life from that, from the things that the Zdoinius actually Naslik Izachis gives me Chayis. Whatever I did in the past gives me Chayis. It's not pulling me down. It's not Kvedus. It's actually elating. It's liberating. I feel free and I feel redeemed. When a person davens like this, when he davens this boimek, he should feel mamish relieved, elated, expansive. It's going to be hard to go weiter, but this is already a shiva shefteinu slach lanu, and you're done. You did das, tshuva, and slach lanu. What do you need more? But that's the oimek of what the tefillah is, and the rest of the packet is what we were supposed to learn last week. So. Should we go weiter? No, it's a little later already. There's another big shtickle from the Sivas Olam, from the Maral. But if you look in there like yourself, the second to last page of Shal L'Chachma, Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu, there was different questions that was asked. Chayta Mayasa. So the Yerushalmi and Makkas, the Yalkut, says different things that should be done. It says this one says you should do tshuva. This one says Shal L'Chachma Chayta Mayinshai Chatoim Tidr Shra. Chachma says. Wisdom says, logic says, there's no tshuva. Levua says, which is the place of spirituality and purity, says, you should die. There's no place for anything that's negative. Torah says, V'yischaperloi. V'yischaperloi means just don't do another thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yasa tshuva yischaper. You should do tshuva. Just return to that place. I don't need to do anything. Don't do one thing to compensate for the other thing. Right? Tshuva, the darga of Torah, the Torah is saying, Tshuva, you messed up this ratzon, do a new ratzon. The oimik of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says is Yasa Tshuva, return to me, come back to me. Yasa Tshuva Yischaperloi, come back to me. Let's go back to the original place before there was anything that was ever done. Let's go back to the Raven, the place where I loved you before anything that was done. And we can always reconnect to that place. This is Slach Lanu V'Ni Chaton. Let's get back to that place. When you get back to that place, you can live a life that's gewaltig. Say it.